Welcome to another Growing in Grace podcast. Welcome to another Growing in Grace podcast. We're glad that you're with us today. We're glad that you have liked, shared, and subscribed to this podcast. If you haven't done that, you have the opportunity to do so now, and we would love it if you did. We have another conversation that we're getting ready to have that I think will be a benefit to you and those that you would share this podcast with. And this conversation is with Brother Eric Jones, a member of Words of Life, True Church of God in Christ, under the leadership of Pastor Stacy Boyd. And we're glad to have this conversation with Brother Eric concerning being in a God community. Being in a God community. Being in a God community. Question is, are you in a God community? Are you in a God community? Not you. It's to our audience. I'm not talking to you yet. Are you in a God community? And if you're not, you need to consider getting into one. And I pray that this conversation will help you to know that you need one. And if you're in one, to value the one that you're in. And stay there, and be a part of that community that not only receives, but gives. And so, Brother Eric, you're at Words of Life, and you believe you're in a God community.
Absolutely.
And so what makes a God community? What makes a God community?
I think the simple answer is just God being in the midst of the community and being the leader and the foundation of that community. I feel like we have that at Words of Life, and it's something that really has blessed me. It's really blessed me.
Yeah. And so, and that's one of the things I try to encourage the saints is that, we're supposed to be family.
Right.
We're supposed to be close.
Right.
Let's not be distant from one another, but let's be close to each other.
Absolutely.
I was thinking of an analogy to try to provoke some of the people who feel like they don't have to come to the table, like you could just be at home and enjoy God at the house. You're just at the house with all your fire and the flame of God. It's just all on you. Your Holy Ghost feel, but you're at the house. The community feels nothing from you. And I thought about this. It's like if you had to be the head of a family, would you want it at dinner time for you to be at the table, your wife to be in the bedroom, your child to be in their bedroom, and another one of your family members is outside, and it's time for the meal, and it's maybe Thanksgiving, and one is at the table, one is in the bedroom, one is in the other bedroom, one is in the den, one is out there on the porch, and one in the backyard. What kind of fellowship do you have when you're not connected with each other?
You don't have fellowship.
Yeah.
You have to be, like you said, you have to be close. You have to be able to communicate. And the thing about communication, there's verbal and nonverbal communication that happens in the community.
Yes.
There's a lot of teaching. We talked earlier about mentorship and just being able to be vulnerable and in having a safe place to be able to share. Family, the thing about family, like you can depend on family. Family will be there. You feel like family has your back.
Yeah.
And we need that because we go through things.
Yes.
And one of the temptations that we faced and that I faced was wanting to be isolated.
You wanted to be isolated.
I wanted to be isolated. Yeah, because I was dealing with things and I was trying to work out my own problems and trying to figure it out.
And all the other people, they'd just get in the way, wouldn't they?
Yeah, they'd be all in my business and all that, right? So I wanted to isolate, right? And so what I used to do, I used to sit in the very back of the church, in the back pew, and as soon as, not even the prayer, but as soon as he get done preaching,
you's out of there.
I'm out.
I see people do that now.
Right.
Yeah.
It's because it's like, okay, I know somebody's gonna speak to me.
And you don't want nobody talking to you.
And the thing is, they ain't gonna do nothing but encourage me.
You don't want that though.
I don't want the encouragement. I'm trying to go to the car. I'm trying to leave. I'm trying to go home, so I can just be away from that.
Yeah.
Be by myself. And a lot of us do it early on, and it's not until you get to be a part of a community, a God community, that you see the benefits. It's almost like the outside looking in. The funny thing is, when you're outside of the community looking in, you see the joy, you see the fun, and you see the happiness and the bond.
So you in the on the back pew back there said, man, they having a good time up there.
I want to go home.
But soon as he's done preaching, I'm out of here.
So that temptation, you know it's not a godly thought. You know it's not a godly thought. And so, what I had to do, and I'm still doing it. So I want to be fully transparent. I am actively pressing into my community, my godly community.
Yes.
Because the more I lean into my godly community, the more benefits I see.
Yes. So naturally though, because everybody's not the same, you actually naturally have a propensity to kind of be by yourself.
Absolutely.
But you come to understand that to be a part of the community, you actually have to be have a certain level of discomfort in order to be engaged with the community.
Absolutely.
To receive, to give, and to receive.
Absolutely.
It's both.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's both. But it's actually not your natural position to be engaged like that.
Right. Yeah. Because even now, there's times where, I'm not in the mood to engage in conversation and engage in, everything. I'm not always in the mood to. And so, sometimes I have to break out of that and not be a slave to that feeling and just go do what I was planning on doing. Sometimes I have to press into it.
Yes.
And that's something that actually my pastor Elder Stacy he encouraged us to do it. And I was like, oh my gosh, really?
It's working for you?
It's working.
I may need to talk to him and find out. How do you do that, sir?
It's working, but it's like, man, it's a challenge, especially when you feel like, okay, you have your own problems.
Yeah.
You having a long week.
Yeah.
You have all this stuff you have to deal with.
Yes.
You mean to tell me I gotta come and I gotta try to, but it's when you get into the community.
Yes.
You start to see some of the value.
Yes.
And some of that value is how I was saying, verbal and nonverbal communication. Sometimes, when you're in that community, you can talk and tell people, okay, I'm going through this, and they can encourage you. And sometimes it's nonverbal, because I've had situations where I'm going through something. I'm not talking about it. I don't want to talk about it. I'm holding it in, and it's eating me alive, but I don't want to say anything. But because I'm a part of this community, people can tell.
They can tell.
Something's going on.
Yeah.
So they, and it's a beautiful thing. Because if I was just pulling back, I'm going deeper and deeper and deeper into this hole.
Yes.
Whereas because I'm a part of this community, I have help.
Yes.
Even when I don't see that, okay, I need to have this conversation. Because I think I don't need to. But somebody else in the community, he needs to talk about it. He has something on his back. I can see the weight on them. And the community, it brings relief.
And so are there times when you were going through, you had this heavy on you, and you got around actually somebody you can really trust?
Absolutely.
And they didn't pry. They just said, man, I see you look like you're going through something.
Right.
Yeah, you can always talk to me.
Absolutely.
And then that door was open, and you said, you know what? Hey, I need to. And it dawned on you at that moment. Yeah, let me go ahead and share this with this,
Right.
because this is a spiritual somebody that could really help me with this. And I was just gonna handle it by myself.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna handle it by myself. I said to myself, I wasn't gonna tell nobody.
Right.
But I just couldn't keep it to myself. Well, what happens is here's something to consider. That I think sometimes people think that God is going to speak to them from heaven,
Mm.
and actually, He's going to speak to you from your community,
Right.
from your godly, spiritual, your pastor,
Right.
a spiritual, somebody spiritual in the congregation
Absolutely.
will speak some things to you, and sometimes
Yeah.
almost tell you some things that you haven't told them. Somebody spiritual around you can actually begin to reveal some of your secrets to you.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
and you begin to like, wow, look at God. I mean, and then you begin to feel loved, but knowing that, and then sometimes I can say this too, that sometimes you go to service
Mm-hmm.
and you think it's just going to be another service.
Right.
And actually, the service is about you.
And everything you're dealing with.
And what you
Right.
dealing with, and you
Right.
ain't told nobody.
Right.
But the
Right.
service is for you. It's almost like the service was tailor made with you and what you're going through in mind,
Absolutely.
and you hadn't even told anybody.
Absolutely.
And then you just wonder, it's like, wow, how did Pastor know? You know, how was this revealed to Pastor to speak on this or to deal with this or to work on this or that testimony? How did they know to testify about that? Because I needed to hear that.
Right. Absolutely. And I'll share something personal. And I talked to my wife about this. I don't want anybody to think I'm just telling all our business. She's okay with me sharing this.
Yes.
We actually, when we got married, maybe a year after, we found out we were having a baby. So we were excited about that, and not too long after, we had a miscarriage, and it was very rough because it's like, okay, we don't know anybody that is dealing with this. Like, you don't really want to talk about it. It's even hard to talk about it one-on-one. So it's a rough. It was a rough season, right? And we done already did a baby reveal and told it, people, and we, planning, preparing, right? And it was a very hurtful thing when it happened. And, I wasn't talking about it to anybody. She wasn't talking about it to anybody. But it just was a weight.
It was eating on you.
It was a weight on us. And it just seemed like for some reason our pastor could see it. I ain't told him, but he sees a weight on me. And so, he was able to talk to me. And, she was able to talk to other people. And what happened was, but if I was not a part of this godly community, I would never share anything. Right? I'm the type to just hold it in until I'm in the grave. This is going with me. Right? And like, this is my heart that I'm walking with, and that I'm having open. And so for that to be able to share that, and to be able to share that with somebody who's has my best intentions, and able to give me advice on my situation, and even how I can help and talk to my wife, so we can have, and then you talk to more people, and you realize, well, you had that same experience. You talked to this person. You went through this too.
Yeah.
And now
You thought you was by yourself.
I'm thinking I'm the only one. And so in reality, it's so many other people dealing with the exact same thing. But if you stay in this isolated state, the devil will trick you and think you're by yourself. Nobody gets it. I don't want to go to church today because I don't want to deal with it.
I'm going through something.
I'm going through it. I see people playing with their babies, and I'm like, I don't even want to go. But because I shared my heart, I was able to get the things that I needed. And I had been praying about it, but it's like I couldn't but it wasn't until I was able to be in that community and share my heart.
Yes.
the spiritual things that I needed, they were being told to me, and I was able to use that. And now we can talk about it. I mean, it's not a beautiful thing to talk about, but there was beauty in it,
Right.
because of the community that was able to tap into us.
Yes.
And yeah.
So you prayed about it. You prayed about it. And one day, your pastor came to you. Is that right?
Yeah.
Your pastor came to you and struck up a conversation that you were ready to have, and you got some healing. And you not to say that it was all right from the conversation,
Right.
but you started a process where you began to be healed.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. And that has happened multiple times with different situations, with different people,
Yes.
where I'm not talking about this, or I don't feel like doing this. And like you said, the preacher may get up and talk about it, or one of the mothers may tell me something. I'm like, why is she telling me this? And then the very next week, I know how to handle this situation. They done gave me advice on it, right? So the community, like you said, like God can speak to you through the community, but you have to be willing to be a part of that community.
Yes.
You can't run from it, or you can't sit at home, because God can't speak to you through the phone.
Yeah.
He can't call you. Somebody has to be on the other line to do it.
Yeah. And then, time service out, you squealing out of the parking lot, headed to the house. I'll see you next week. On my back pew, don't let nobody sit on my seat. That's my back seat. But it's amazing that you were able to break out of that cycle and come to the engaging part of the community, not just the front of the church, but the engaging part of the community, and actually be a part of something where you can receive and give. Give. It goes both ways, giving and receiving. Because sometimes I know people have that conversation about being loved, but sometimes they don't consider enough about the love you're supposed to be giving, which is what you're more responsible for in the community. Is really more about you giving than receiving, because when Scriptures does say it's more blessed to give than to receive, and I think sometimes we just think about money, but I see it in other ways, that it's more blessed to give your love than to receive love, because in the end, it's about not how well you receive love, but how well did you give it.
How well did you give it?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And some people, when they get into the community, all they want to do is pour all their problems on you. Like how you say, they don't want to give anything. They want to just pour everything on you for you to tap into them, right? But it's a give and take.
Give and take, yeah.
It's give and take, and it's okay to share and to pour out, but sometimes people may take advantage of that, and they just kind of dump everything on you. And every time they come to you, it ain't about a conversation. It ain't about how you doing. It's, man, this is what I'm going through. And sometimes that can be heavy. So you're right. We have to make sure it's a mutual thing, because I'm sure you have things that you were going through, and so you need to be able to share things with me, and I need to be able to share things with you. And it's not helpful if I'm just dumping everything.
They always go one way.
Right.
And even I noticed that even Paul, being one of the, a great minister, apostle, wrote so many epistles, But, in one of his epistles, he asked the people, pray for me.
Right.
Pray for me. And he even spoke to some of the community. I'm praying. I pray for you in my prayer. You're in my prayers and all of this. And he said, pray for me. And so it shouldn't be one way. The prayer shouldn't just be pastors always praying. I know pastor praying for me. Well, that. How about you get on your knee, give a knee or bow? Maybe you don't have to bow. Stand up. while you ride, just utter a little,
Right,
give
right.
pastor a little prayer.
Right.
Or the minister, you know, not everyone's always praying for you.
Right.
Where's your prayers for the community as well?
Absolutely.
You know, that's important. We pray one for another,
Absolutely.
and we love one another.
Absolutely.
One another. You know, it's not in one direction. Now, I will say, just to change it a little bit, the scripture did say, "Come out from among them."
Yes. Yeah.
Come out from among them.
Yeah.
But didn't say be isolated.
Right.
Come out from among them, be separate, said the Lord. You know, touch not the unclean thing. And he said, I will be a father to you.
Right.
And he said, you'll be my sons and daughters, said the Lord Almighty. But I noticed he said sons, daughters. So if it's sons and daughters, then that means it ought to be like brothers and sisters somewhere along the way.
Absolutely. And, you know, it's so tempting when you come out to be by yourself because you've forsaken maybe certain friends, like certain relationships, certain things, and you know you there's other people that are coming out too.
Yes.
And when they come out, you know they need something to join to, because if not, there's a scripture where it talks about how you cleaned yourself out.
Yeah.
But you got to put something.
You're empty.
You're empty.
Swept, garnished.
Right.
But you got to be filled with somebody else.
Yeah.
You know, the squatter's coming back.
Right.
You know.
And I know that's talking about the Holy Ghost.
Yes.
But there's something to that as well with coming out from among them. You know how we shouldn't be unequally yoked together.
Yes.
But we have to. We're not called to be in isolation.
Yes.
We're called to be in fellowship with each other.
Equally yoked. How about that?
I didn't think about it. Right.
He said, don't be unequally yoked. Well, let's get yoked together equally. You know, light with light. Let darkness be with darkness, but let the light be with the light.
Absolutely.
You know, we're children of the light. You know, and so the light's supposed to be together, and we should, you know, shine together.
Absolutely.
You know.
Absolutely. And, you know, that's one thing that I love about the community that I'm a part of. You know, at Words to Life, you know, we're able to go out and do different things. You know, sometimes we may go bowling or we may have like a cookout or do whatever. But when we go, we don't have to be ashamed of holiness, right? You know, we don't have to dress a certain way. We don't have to. We can dress holy.
Yes.
And be happy and be laughing and having just maybe more fun than some of the other people around us because we have liberty.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And we have the liberty in the community, and it's like we can feed off of that.
Right.
You know, it's like, okay, if you're a light and I'm a light,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the world, a lot of times they get a competition. Like, okay, you know, you wore this, I wore that, or you got that car. I got
Who wore it best?
If I'm a light and you're a light, when we come together, it's just a brighter light.
Yes.
And we can enjoy each other. And so, you know, I love that about the community that I'm a part of because I don't have to try to be somebody else.
Yes.
I don't have to try to fit in. I don't have to try to change who I am because I'm holy. And so I could just be holy and be myself.
Yes.
Whereas before, you know, there were certain groups and friends I wanted to be friends with, and I would have to, okay, I'm going to talk this way so I can...
So you can fit in? Yeah.
In reality, you're really breaking yourself down and living below your means and your privilege to be a part of a community that's not even...
It's not for you.
It's not for you.
Because really, you should be able to be yourself, and we should love you for who you are.
Absolutely.
Not for the pretended version of you.
Absolutely.
You know, you should be who you are, and we love you, not some fictitious version of you.
Right.
And what God has all called us all to is holiness.
Absolutely.
And so we should have an identity rooted in holiness. So that's the only thing that we should be changing to. But there should be some diversity amongst us in that you are not me and I'm not you.
Absolutely.
I'm the holy version of me and you're the holy version of you.
Right.
And that
Right.
connects us and that makes the community, it's the holiness community.
Right.
Because
Right.
God is a holy God. That's making a God community is holiness. Yeah,
Absolutely.
but you still have your identity as, Eric Jones. You got
Right,
your
right.
you got your thing,
Yeah.
and I got my thing. And actually, even in the community, I bring something to the community.
Right.
You bring something to the community that's a little different from me.
Right.
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 And then we got so many others bringing something to the community, and then we would put it all together. It's something great and grand.
Absolutely.
And even you speak about words of life, and then I'm serving here at Lucas Temple, and then we have some of the others serving at, St. James, and we have Abundant Grace.
Right, right,
We have, name the rest of them, Henderson Temple, Augusta, Gerard,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and did I miss anybody?
Abundant.
Hope of Glory,
Yeah,
Hope of Glory. And then we have others that are coming in that we are beginning to be connected with, like another organization, Trueborn Holiness Church of Christ,
Right,
and
right,
and
right.
Brian Temple and Christ Anointed. As we begin to learn each other, we begin to make a bigger community.
Right,
And in fact, even when the other organization, Trueborn Holiness Church of Christ, they introduced one man to me. They said, "This is Uncle John." You know what I start calling him? Uncle John. And I see him again. I said, "It's Uncle John."
Right.
And so it's like my family is growing.
Right.
My community is growing. I'm having a larger, bigger community, and I have more people to be accountable to.
Right.
And that's the beauty of the God community, is that we can hold each other accountable
Right.
to the standard of holiness and righteousness. And even when we're going through something, we can actually, go to our community.
Yeah.
Go to our community. And you don't have to walk alone.
Yeah.
You don't have to do this by yourself.
Yeah. And the beautiful thing about that is, when you're in the world, you have to be reserved when you share things, because everybody doesn't have your best intention.
Yes.
Everybody doesn't looking out for your best interest, right, in the world. So because we have a community that we can, we have a holy community that we can trust and depend on, and like you say, our family is growing. We don't have to worry about the same things. So for example, there was a time where the community I was a part of, when I was going through something, one of my friends, they pulling up on me with a blunt, or with some alcohol or something. They're like, "All right, man, I know you had a long day." And in my mind, I'm like, "Man, this is great. It's a real friend right here."
Yeah, man, you just take the edge off, man.
And it's like, man, this person really cared about me. They know, they see what I was going through. They know I had a long week, and in reality, it was killing me. It's killing me. And but your mind will think that this is a blessing. But when you get to experience the other side, where okay, I'm going through these things, and this person can encourage me for real, or they can be there for me for real.
Yeah.
And the things that they're telling me, it lines up with the scripture.
Yeah.
It's not deception. It's for my good.
Right. It's not going to corrupt you. Like when you're in the world, the scripture speaks about evil communication.
Right.
It corrupts your good manners.
Right.
It corrupts your good manners, and it's going to take you down a path that you don't need to go down.
Right.
And if you don't mind, that type of community could be leading you to addiction.
Absolutely.
And so next thing you're involved in something that is hard for you to get out of.
Right.
But your spiritual community, your God community, is going to lead you down a path where where a freedom.
Right.
A freedom from that thing.
Right.
You don't go into freedom by going into bondage.
Absolutely.
But if you are in a bad state, in a bad position, and then somebody's offering you substances to overcome it, see, next thing you're in another trap.
Right. And then now
So now you need a blunt.
Right. Right.
What I mean by that is
Yeah.
now you're depending on a blunt to get you through. Now you're depending on a drink to help you to get through the week.
Absolutely.
And next thing you know, you throwing them back, and the next thing you're a functioning alcoholic.
Absolutely. And then a lot of times you start out doing that with the community, and now you're drinking by yourself. The friends you was doing smoking with, you're not even doing it. You by yourself.
Yeah, and they will buy them for you. They just give it to you. Hey, man, I know you're going through something. Here you go. Right. Next thing you know, you're out there looking for somebody. Say, man, I need... Where you get that from? Scratching and itching. I need something to take the edge off.
Right.
And that community now, that old community has gotten you into something. And next thing you know, you're out there by yourself.
Right.
You're out there by yourself. And those very friends that were supporting you in that era, now you're alone. Now, after you done got deep into a problem.
Yeah.
Deep into a problem.
Right.
But the community of God, we can see you in the midst of a problem.
Right.
And come to help you out of that problem, not expecting anything in return.
Absolutely.
It's not about how you can help me.
Right.
It's, okay, you can't do nothing for me.
Right.
But what can I do for you?
Absolutely.
That's how the God community sees it. It's not about, well, you might not be able to do anything for me. What can I do for you?
Right.
But sometimes in the world, it's like quid pro quo. Something for something.
Absolutely.
Something for something.
Absolutely. And it gets hard when you're really in a situation because, if you don't have a community to pour into, and if you're at the house by yourself, sometimes you need to talk.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you need to share.
Mm-hmm.
And if the only people you have to share with are people who don't really love you, who don't really care about you, a lot of times you know it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, a lot of times in the world, you keep things, we all develop these coping mechanisms to keep things to ourselves because we know these people don't care. They don't care about you.
Mm-hmm.
If they have you doing these drugs, if they have you going here or going there, they don't care. But it's a temporary relief.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens is you sink deeper and deeper into a hole, and it becomes harder to make that transition to a good community.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it was so hard for me when I decided to come back. That's why it was hard for me to connect because it was like, man, these other people didn't care for me.
Mm-hmm.
You have a sense of
lack of trust.
A lack of trust, a lack of wanting to show your heart, and to for people to see your real personality because you've been a part of a community where you weren't able to do that, or when you did that, it got shut down or it got laughed at. And so, it's important to be a part of that community that's godly.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
I understand what you said, how you came from the world community into the church community. You had this propensity to be, isolated. That was part of your natural propensity to be isolated. What changed for you? How did you, what was your transitional moment or period? What happened to break you from that guy who sat on the back row and just couldn't wait till the pastor said, close your book, son, done for the day. Before he could even sing a praise and worship song, you out of there, squealing out the parking lot. What changed for you? How did that change?
So, one of the things I did was, I kept coming back.
Mm-hmm.
So I would leave, but the next Sunday, I'm coming back. I know I'm gonna leave before even on the way there. I'm like, okay, if I'm late, I'm like, okay, I know I got about 20 minutes when I get there because he's gonna be wrapping up, so I need to go. But I kept coming.
So you was already ready to leave before you got there.
Yeah. Especially if I'm late.
Okay.
Especially if I'm late. Sometimes Pastor, he'll try to catch me in the parking lot, or I'm like, oh, okay. But I kept coming back. And one time I came and Minister Barry actually he was giving his testimony. I think he was preaching that Sunday, but he gave a testimony in the message, and he was saying how he was in the back, and he's pointing me out.
Mm-hmm.
He's not talking. He's talking to my heart,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But I was there to hear it,
Mm-hmm.
and he said, I was in the back, and sometimes you gotta be closer to the fire.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, what does this even mean? I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna try it.
Mm-hmm.
So I really just took a chance.
Mm-hmm.
I knew I needed it. I knew what I was doing leaving. I knew that was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But I took a chance. And what happened was, I decided, okay, he said he came on that front row and that made a change in his life.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, something that small, I'm going to try it.
Mm-hmm.
So I started trying to get on the front row. It's very hard to leave. It's very hard to be the first one out on the front row. It looks bad.
Yeah.
So I was able, to sit and, okay, his service is over. Now, even cutting out, I at least want to be respectful.
Shake a hand or two.
Yeah. On the way out.
Yeah.
So I had to get out my comfort zone.
Yeah.
I wasn't able to have that escape.
Mm-hmm.
So I put myself in that position because I heard a testimony
Yes.
of how it helped somebody else.
Yes.
So I did it, and I started to see, okay, I'm hearing the same message. The message did not change from the back row to the front row.
It started landing different though, didn't it?
It started landing different because I made that first step.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really a leap of faith.
Yes.
Right? Because I'm like, how is this going to work?
I don't know this part. I might have to share this with the whole Lucas Temple Church family. Because I've been trying to help our community to understand. Mm-hmm. Come close. Come close.
Yeah.
Come close. And, I have some people that kind of resist it, but, and they may not see the value. Come close. Come close. Come close. I'm not trying to get you to do anything wrong. Come close. Yeah.
And the thing is, if the man of God is saying that.
Yeah.
And he's talking to you
mm-hmm.
directly.
Mm-hmm.
It's nothing but good that's going to come from it.
Mm-hmm.
It's nothing bad that's going to come from it. It's
mm-hmm.
only going to benefit you.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you really believe the gospel
mm-hmm.
and that, the man of God is watching for your soul.
Mm-hmm.
What harm could be done?
Mm-hmm.
And, it's going to be uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, get that out the way. It's going to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But once you do it, over time, it's it's different. Like the uncomfortable, the fear, the this is gonna happen, or I don't want to do it. Over time, you realize that was just in your mind.
Yes.
And you see the benefit.
Yes.
You see the benefit, and it actually, that was the first step of being a part of that community.
Yes.
Because I wasn't able to just escape.
Yes.
I'm shaking hands. Okay, I'm having to communicate.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm hearing the message, and I'm able to ask if I have a question. I don't have to just run out to the car like the pastor right here. Okay, what you say?
And he ain't got to chase you.
He ain't got to chase me.
In the parking lot.
Yeah, he might be running. but so it's a leap of faith, and I actually believe that
mm-hmm.
there are a lot of testimonies
mm-hmm.
and a lot of victory stories
mm-hmm.
on that back bench.
Uh-huh.
But I think some people aren't telling me.
Yeah.
That's part of it too.
Yeah.
The testimony, because that's what really helped me.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I was.
Mm-hmm.
I was in this same spot.
Mm-hmm.
And all I did was take a leap of faith.
Yeah, you took a leap of faith.
Right.
I don't know. We got some media in here. I don't know. We might have to make some clips. Put it on the big screen. Lord help us. Lord help us. I tell you, it's refreshing to hear your testimony.
Okay.
Even for me to hear your testimony of the blessing of you actually beginning to be a part of the community. And see, like now, mm-hmm. there was a time when you were struggling, trying to be by yourself. Yeah. And then by some means you heard a testimony in the service mm-hmm. of the community. And then you got more involved and engaged. And now mm-hmm. your testimony is going to be a blessing. And you are actually serving the community, and now you're engaged in the community, and now the pastor is using you as somebody who can actually be a pillar, pillar in the community. And so this is a wonderful thing, where you come from to where you are today, but it was because you got connected with a community that began to nurture you.
Right, the same community that I was running from.
Yes. And now you're part of it, and now you're part of that nurturing ingredient in the community. That's wonderful.
Yeah, wonderful. And I never, that was not my intention. I never would have thought that could be something that I would be able to do, is to be an example or to be able to encourage somebody or anything. I never thought that. Yeah. And even now, sometimes I'm like, wow, God can really... He can really make a change.
He transforms.
He can transform you for real.
Yeah.
Cause sometimes,
for real.
For real.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, I'll look at some of my old pictures, or my wife, she may have an old picture of me.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I'm chilling. I got my earrings.
Yeah, earrings. Yeah.
My wife don't know it, but I would right after that I smoke. So she don't even know, and so I'm like, oh my gosh, and I can see the actual transformation.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. And the community that I was able to be a part of and that I'm actively a part of. And fully transparent, I am still leaning in. Yeah. Because I still have that temptation sometimes to draw back. I'm still actively leaning in to the community.
Yeah, I think that we continue to press.
Right.
I think we continue. It's a press.
Absolutely.
It's a press. Absolutely. And because... like you say, being transparent, we might as well just be honest. Yeah. You don't always feel the same way. No. You don't. No. But it's not about that. Right. You have to go beyond how you feel. Absolutely. That's how we have houses. Absolutely. And that's how we have groceries. Right. Because we don't stay in bed all day. You understand what I mean? Absolutely. Because sometimes... you feel like you don't want to get up that morning or several mornings in a week. Absolutely. And if you just continue to go in that way, you would actually not have your job. Absolutely. And you wouldn't be able to make your mortgage or all these other things. And what I'm saying is that we go beyond our feelings in our everyday living. Right. We don't always feel like going to work, but we do it anyway. Right. And so even in the community of God, we may not feel... like pressing our way all the time. Right. But that's what the pressing is about. It's going beyond how you feel. Absolutely. And pressing into the community. Absolutely. And as you press into the community, God will begin to pour things into you. Absolutely. And then you can pour into it, and then we have a mutual benefit. And it's wonderful. Yes, it is. Closing remarks.
So, in closing, I would say that, the discomfort that you may have, or that I had initially being a part of a godly community, that discomfort that I have, it doesn't compare to the value and the comfort that I now have being in this godly community. It doesn't compare because there's strongholds that I was able to get rid of. Yes. There's temptations that I no longer have. Yes. There's, battles I'm no longer fighting. And even the battles that I am fighting, I don't feel like I'm going to get beat up. I feel empowered to tackle them. I found my wife in this community. Yes. I have a baby girl on the way that I get to raise in this community. And, I'm excited to do it because I know that it's a beautiful place to grow a family and to be a part of. So please lean in. That's what I would say. Lean in. That's what was told to me. That's what I would tell anybody. Lean into the community despite how you feel.
Yes. Thank you for coming and sharing this conversation with us and your testimony and being transparent with us. And I will say to our audience that this is a beautiful community. The godly community is the community that we all ought to be in. Right. We need to be in a godly community rather than in the world, like the Lord said, come out from among them. Come out from among that world, that worldly, ungodly crowd. Come out from among them and be separate, said the Lord, and touch not the unclean things. And the Lord our God said, I will be a father to you. Absolutely. You'll be my sons and daughters. And we can do this. And you got to get outside of how you feel. Mm-hmm. You got to press into it. And as Brother Eric said, lean in. If you're going to church, if you're sitting on the back row, sitting on them back side of the church.
Sitting in my old seat.
Sitting in Brother Eric's old seat. There are some seats in the front that they have your name. They're just waiting for you to fill them. Mm-hmm. And come on up to the front. And more than come to the front to sit in a physical seat. Come to the front to be in a position to be able to serve, to be served, and to be a part of a godly community. And you will receive a benefit. You will receive a benefit. And you can be a benefit to others. Mm-hmm. Thank you for being here with us today. Thank you for being a part of this podcast. Thank you for liking, sharing, subscribing. I'm thanking you in advance. If you haven't done that, some of you have not. And so I wanted to tell you, just like, share, subscribe to the podcast so you get notifications about these podcasts. I believe that these conversations will be a benefit to you and the community that you might be a part of. We love you. We appreciate you. Actually, we want you to be a part of our community. Because we already love you. Even if I don't know your name, I already love you. And so, what I want you to do is when we air the next podcast, we want you to be here, to hear, to like, to share, and to subscribe. God bless you until next time. Thank you for coming.